Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something a little different today.
Definitely. Should be interesting.
We're talking money. Yeah,
Yeah.
but not the usual, budgeting stuff or stock market tips.
Right.
We're going deeper than that.
Yeah,
Thinking about the psychology behind our spending.
absolutely. Like how this sneaky thing called status anxiety gets us. You ever feel that?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, it's messing with our wallets and we don't even realize it half the time.
It's so true. It's like we get caught up in the practical side of money, budgets and all that. But that,
Yeah, it's those emotional triggers that really get us.
yes, that need to fit in, impress people, or keep up with those Joneses. You know what I mean?
It's human nature, right? It makes you wonder, like, where did this all even come from?
It's like is hardwired into us, this desire for status.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Our early ancestors, right? Being a hotshot hunter, that meant respect, resources, maybe a better chance at, well, finding a mate.
Survival of the fittest, right? But instead of a woolly mammoth, it's a designer handbag these days.
Mm.
Or a fancy car.
Or the latest iPhone, right?
Oh, don't even get me started on the iPhones. But yeah, our sources really honed in on those big designer brands, like the ones where just the logo is supposed to say successful, even if you got to empty your wallet to get it.
It's funny how those logos become like status symbols. But what is it about them? Is it really that the quality is so much better?
That's the thing, right? It's more than just the quality of the item itself. It's deeper. It's this whole thing called conspicuous consumption, basically. We buy things to be seen, to make a statement. It's not always about how well the thing actually works.
A perfect example, handbags.
Mhm.
Okay, a good bag is important, but is a designer bag really 10 times better than a regular one? Which is, let's be honest, often the price distance we're talking about.
Exactly. And often the differences are pretty minimal. Like, yeah, maybe the materials are a bit nicer, more attention to detail, sure. But you're paying a huge markup for that logo, that association with a certain lifestyle or social group. It's a signal, plain and simple.
And nowhere is this drive for status more obvious and more potentially damaging than when we're talking about cars.
Oh, tell me about it. I read an article the other day. It said the average monthly car payment in 2023 was over $1,000.
$1,000 a month. I mean, that's wild for something that loses value the second you drive it off the lot.
It's crazy. But we're constantly shown these luxury cars as the ultimate I've made it symbol. But are you really making it if you're drowning in debt to make those payments?
Right. Makes you wonder if those Joneses everyone's trying to keep up with, maybe they're in debt up to their eyeballs. Just saying.
Maybe. It's all about priorities, right? And maybe a good old reality check. Remember the 10% rule. Your car costs shouldn't be more than 10% of what you bring home each month. So if you're making $5,000 after taxes, your car should be costing you $500 or less. Payments, insurance, gas, everything.
That's a really good point. It's so easy to overspend on a car,
Yeah.
especially with all the pressure to have the latest and greatest.
For sure.
But what are we giving up for that status symbol, Experiences, investments, or even just peace of mind, something to think about. And it's not just the big purchases either, right? This whole
Yeah.
keeping up appearances thing,
Oh, yeah.
it sneaks into like every part of life, like just going out with friends.
Tell me about it. Dinners, drinks, those weekend trips, it adds up so fast.
Oh my gosh, so fast. And you know what doesn't help?
What's that?
Social media. You're scrolling through and it's everyone's highlight reel.
It's the worst. Vacations, fancy dinners, new outfits. It's easy to feel like you're missing out if you're not spending a ton of money to keep up.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like everyone's living this glamorous life
Yeah.
and you start to feel, I don't know, inadequate.
It's true. And for millennials like us who basically grew up online, it's even worse. There's this pressure to curate the perfect online persona.
Totally. But here's the thing. It's not like we don't want to go out with friends, have fun experiences.
Right. Those connections, those experiences, they matter.
They do. It's when we overspend just to impress other people or to fit in with a crowd that maybe we don't even really, I don't know.
Vibe with.
Yeah, that's when it becomes a problem, right?
Totally. It's like, are you doing it for you or for them?
Mm.
And the data shows it's a real thing. One study found 40% of millennials overspend for social reasons.
Wow. Almost half of us.
Crazy, right? Makes you think about all the spending we do just to project a certain image.
It's true. Speaking of which, our sources talked about travel too, and that whole allure of first class. I'm not going to lie, even though I know it's probably not worth the cost, I kind of get sucked in by those comfy seats and those free drinks.
Oh, for sure. Who doesn't love a free drink, am I right? And those seats, so spacious.
Right. But at least for those domestic flights. Our sources were saying the actual difference in comfort. It's not really that big of a deal.
Right. It's not like you're flying in a private jet.
Exactly. Unless it's a super long flight,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the seats are a tad bigger, but it's not life-changing.
Yeah.
And airplane food as
Yeah.
well.
Airplane food.
Exactly.
But that price difference, though, yikes.
Oh, tell me about it. One article even gave an example. Round trip from San Francisco to Chicago. Economy was $189. First class, $870.
Oof.
More than 4 times the price. For what? A slightly comfier seat and maybe a better meal?
It's wild. Those airlines must be making a killing off this whole status anxiety thing.
They're definitely onto something.
But I guess the good news is they're usually smarter options, like premium economy, right?
Exactly. You get a little more legroom, some extra perks, without the insane first-class price tag.
Right. Or if you're really strategic, just snag that exit row seat.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just about being a smart traveler, not falling for the hype,
100%.
And speaking of hype, can we talk about gadgets for a second?
Oh boy, here we go.
It's like every other week there's a new phone, a new laptop, a new smartwatch,
Mhm.
and we're happy to have it, even if the run we have works perfectly fine.
It's true. And it's not our fault, really. Those tech companies are so good at what they do.
They really are.
They know how to push our buttons. They tap into that desire for something shiny and new, that feeling of like, you're on the cutting edge,
Totally. And Apple, oh my gosh, they are the masters of this. Every year, new iPhone, same hype cycle. It's like clockwork. They're like, this is the best iPhone yet, new camera, faster processor, this revolutionary feature
Right.
that you didn't even know you needed.
Right. And then suddenly...
You got to have it. And our old phone, which was working just fine,
Totally.
suddenly it's obsolete.
It's brilliant marketing, though, isn't it?
It really is.
They create this sense of urgency, Like, you'll miss out if you don't get the newest one.
Totally. It's like FOMO, but for phones.
Yeah.
I will say, when I finally broke free from that cycle, it was such a good feeling.
Oh, yeah.
It was. I was like, wait a minute.
Huh.
My current phone works perfectly fine. Why do I need a new one?
Right. Why? Like, we need to ask ourselves that more often, with any purchase, really, but especially with all the gadgets and tech stuff. Did you actually need a new one?
It's so true.
Or did you just want it because it was new? Be honest.
It's about being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
About why we're buying all this stuff.
Exactly.
A lot of it comes back to never feeling satisfied. Like,
Yeah.
we're always being told, you need this to be happy. You need that to be successful.
Oh, 100%. It's like the more you have, the better you are. But it's not true. And that's the dangerous part of this whole status anxiety thing.
Totally.
It makes you feel inadequate, like you're not good enough unless you have all the right things. But true worth that comes from within, it has nothing to do with this.
Stuff.
Exactly.
Tough. Easier said than done, though, right?
Exactly.
I mean, it's hard not to compare ourselves to others and not to get sucked into that I'll be happy when.
It definitely takes effort.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be aware of it, right? You got to catch yourself when you're having those feelings, like, I need this, or I won't fit in if I don't have that.
Right.
Those feelings, they usually come from insecurity, not a genuine need.
It's true. So maybe it's about taking a step back and asking, am I buying this for me?
Yeah.
Because I like it and it fits into my goals.
Exactly. Or are you buying it for your Instagram followers
Mhm.
or your neighbors? Who are you trying to impress here?
Because that's the thing, right? When you start questioning those impulses, you realize how much money you could save.
Exactly. And it's not just about saving. It's about what you could do with that money. You could actually invest it. And that's where things get really exciting.
It really does. One of the articles had this great example. Let's say, instead of getting a new phone every year, you took that money, maybe it's like $1,000, and you invested it.
Okay.
Imagine doing that for 6 years. So now you've invested $6,000.
Right. Which, let's be real, it's not an insignificant amount of money.
No, it's not. But it's also not an impossible amount. And over time, that small but consistent investment, it can grow like crazy.
Yeah. It can, especially if you're smart about it. Like, one of the articles mentioned this ETF. It's called QQQ. It tracks all those top tech companies, like the ones on the NASDAQ.
Oh, yeah, QQQ. I've heard of that.
It's popular with people looking for long-term growth. So imagine our hypothetical investor puts their $6,000 into QQQ over 6 years.
Okay. What happens? Do they become a millionaire?
Well, maybe not a millionaire, but based on how QQQ has performed in the past,
Right.
that investment could be worth over $13,000 today. And that's not even including any additional contributions they might have made on top of that initial 6,000. That's just from letting it sit and grow.
That's incredible. See, that's what I mean about opportunity cost. It's not just the money you spend in the moment.
Yeah.
It's also what you miss out on by not investing that money.
Exactly. It's about playing the long game. And that's what I hope people take away from this deep dive. We're not just saying don't buy stuff. We're saying be mindful. Think about your spending habits. Because when you resist those status traps, you're not just saving money, you're investing in your future self. You can prioritize your financial security, pursue your passions, build genuine connections. That's where true wealth and happiness come from.
Could have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, just remember your value, your worth. It's not defined by the brand of your handbag or the year of your car or how many Instagram likes you have. Those are just things. They don't define you.
Well said. Next time you're about to buy something, especially a big purchase, pause. Ask yourself, is this really me? Does this align with my values? Or am I just, I don't know, letting those external pressures get to me? You might surprise yourself with the answer.
Love that. Great advice. All right, everyone, that's it for this deep dive. Big thanks to our expert for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It was fun.
And thank you all for listening. Until next time, keep those wallets safe out there. And remember, true wealth, it comes from within.